Welcome to Java Forum. Now I am going to show you how to enable nested virtualization in AlmaLinux 8.7 virtual machine, which is running on VMware Workstation Pro 17. And also we are going to show how to install VMware Workstation Player inside the AlmaLinux 8 virtual machine and install one more virtual machine inside the virtual machine. So make sure that you have enough hardware, CPU. So this is the system information. So these are the Hyper-V features should be enabled. That is, especially second level address translation extension should be enabled. Okay. So these four features should be enabled, which means that virtualization should be enabled in BIOS level and in OS level. Okay. And I'm using 13th generation Intel processor. So latest Windows 10 Professional Edition. And let me go to Windows features. So I'm showing you turn Windows feature on or off. So these are the Windows features enabled and disabled. So especially I have disabled virtual machine platform, Windows Hypervisor Platform. So these two features should be disabled, virtual machine platform and Windows Hypervisor Platform. And also I have disabled Hyper-V. Next, if you are running Docker desktop means please disable the Docker desktop service temporarily. So let me go to services. So here Docker desktop service is disabled. So disable the Docker desktop service temporarily because it will prevent the nested virtualization in VMware Workstation. Okay, here these are the ISO files. Linux ISO files and VMware Workstation Player for Linux is already downloaded. Okay, now come to the VMware Workstation Pro 17. So here you can see that I have already installed AlmaLinux 8.7 virtual machine. Now I am going to edit the settings. So now I am going to increase the CPU core count. So I am allocating 8 CPU cores. Next I am going to virtualize Intel VTX/EPT. So virtualization engine, which means I have enabled the nested virtualization. Okay. So ISO image, I want AlmaLinux ISO file. Next, go to options tab. So I need shared folders. So shared folders to mount all the ISO files which I have shown earlier. So Linux ISO file directory which I have shown, right? So I'm going to mount that directory as a shared folder, which contains all the Linux images and VMware Workstation Player for Linux. Okay. So final summary, I have increased the CPU core process and enabled the nested virtualization in VMware Workstation Pro. So now I have started the AlmaLinux 8.7 virtual machine. So AlmaLinux 8.7 virtual machine is started. First step, cat/proc/CPU info. So here this command gives you the output about the CPU. So these are the CPU flags. Okay. So in the CPU flags, check that VMX EPT flags are available. So these are the CPU flags for nested virtualization. Okay. So I can able to see that flags are enabled. Okay. Next, I am coming to AlmaLinux DVD ISO file. So I am going to copy some RPM packages from DVD ISO file. So these are the RPM packages I have copied. So these are the RPM packages needed by VMware Workstation Player. Okay, so I am going to install these RPM packages in a single shot. So in a single command, I am going to install all these RPM. So I install all the RPMs now. Next step, what I am going to do is I am going to mount that shared directory. So in VMware Workstation, I have enabled shared folders, right? I am going to enable the shared folders now by adding this line in /etc/fs tab. So save the /etc/fs tab configuration file, mount -a. That's it. So this will mount the shared folder Linux ISO 2022, which I have configured earlier. cd/md/agfs. Yes, I can able to see the shared directory is got mounted. So here you can see a lot of Linux ISOs, and also you can see that VMware player for Linux is downloaded. I am going to install it. So /VMware player 17. So once again I am repeating, make sure that nested virtualization is enabled in your virtual machine, and all the dependencies for VMware player should be installed before installing this VMware player. So VMware player installation is successful. Now let me go to show applications. You can see that VMware player is got installed. So I am starting VMware player. So accept the license agreement. Okay, I am using VMware for non-commercial use. So provide the root password. Yes. So VMware Workstation 17 player setup is completed. So now we are going to install AlmaLinux 8 virtual machine inside the AlmaLinux 8 virtual machine. So I am going to create a new virtual machine. So AlmaLinux is a flavor of Red Hat Enterprise Linux 8. So I am selecting Red Hat Enterprise Linux 8 as a flavor. So I am providing one name to the virtual machine, Alma 8 in Alma 8. So as a fancy name I am giving. So next, so 20 GB I am allocating as a hard disk space, and memory 2 GB. So processor, I am increasing the processor core to 2 CPU cores, and DVD ISO file I am using Alma Linux 8.7 DVD ISO file, which I have mounted in the share folder. So I am using this DVD ISO file. That's it. That's all the settings. Let us start the installation. So installation step is same as installing the normal virtual machine. So I skipped the installation screens. So this is the final step. So I am creating one user. So this is the summary. Software selection is server with guy. So begin installation. That's it. Installation is completed. Now I am logging to the VM inside the VM. Okay. So Now let me open the terminal and run some commands. Yes, I can able to run some commands. So finally we have achieved the nested virtualization. So as a general advice, please read the description of this video before proceeding to nested virtualization installation, because nested virtualization will degrade your hardware performance. See here, it's a little bit slow. Make sure that you have enough CPU cores. So you need more CPU cores, enough RAM, that is enough memory you need, and hard disk space. Because if you run VM inside VM means it will consume more space. So as a general advice, make sure that you have enough hardware requirements. Okay. So I can see that these are the virtual network adapters inside installed inside the virtual machine, VMNet1 and VMNet8 virtual network adapters installed by VMware Workstation Player. So this is the directory of where your virtual machine is getting stored. So I think 6.1 GB of space is consumed for this virtual machine. So finally we are done. So make sure that nested virtualization is enabled in operating system level and processor level. So and BIOS also, BIOS also virtualization should be enabled. And finally in VM you should enable the nested virtualization.